Be agreed to, and I call the honourable member for Corangamite.
Mr Deputy Speaker, thank you very much. I rise to speak on the Social Security legislation Green Army Program Amendment Bill 2014. It is a great pleasure to make a contribution on this very important piece of legislation. The Green Army says much about our government's commitment to the environment, to real and practical environmental programs, and to investing in skills and training for young people. Mr Deputy Speaker, in my first speech in this place, I spoke of the importance of caring for the environment, for me and for the people of my electorate. Corangamite is a beautiful part of the world. It includes incredible coastlines, surf beaches, national parks, precious creeks, rivers, rainforests and rolling farmland, and of course the mighty Great Ocean Road. Many people move to my electorate because of their love of the environment. In my first speech I said the Liberal Party has a strong tradition of practical environmentalism. It was the coalition which established Stage 1 of Kakadu National Park and ended whaling in Australia. It was the coalition which put the Great Barrier Reef on a sustainable footing a decade ago. We are now delivering a 15,000-strong Green Army and tackling climate change. I commit myself to being a passionate defender of our precious environment. Mr Deputy Speaker, in the contributions we've heard tonight, both from the member for Parramatta and the member for Newcastle, it is quite incredible that those on the other side are saying that we must do everything to address youth unemployment. What do they think this scheme is? This scheme is about investing in young people. This scheme is about building pride, about giving young people the opportunity to work in a team, to learn new skills. It's a very positive scheme with very important safeguards, which members opposite seem to be ignoring. And it just perhaps indicates that those opposite don't really understand what it's like to be young and unemployed, because sometimes it's really tough to get your first job in full-time paid employment. Well, I tell you what I do know, and I've had an interjection from someone, a member opposite. I tell you what I do know. I travel around my electorate. I speak to lots of young people in my electorate in Colac, in Belmont and in the federal electorate of Corio. I can see the impact that this is having on young people. And what we are doing by this scheme is we are valuing young people. We are helping to build pride. We are helping to give them skills, because for so many people under the previous federal government, they sat there without a job. And this is a scheme that is positive. This is a scheme that we are proud of. Mr Deputy Speaker, the Green Army will make a real difference to the environment and to the local communities in my electorate. As I mentioned, it will be a 15,000-strong Green Army by 2018, the largest standing environmental workforce in Australia's history. It will recruit local people aged 17 to 24 to give them the hands-on experience, the skills, the training to boost their employment prospects. Up to 9 eligible participants will work on one project and at least one team supervisor. It's a very substantial commitment of $300 million over 4 years. The government will provide an additional $222 million in 2017-18 and $289 million in 2018-19. Mr Deputy Speaker, in my electorate of Corangamite, we are very excited by 4 projects, Green Army projects, that were announced prior to the election in Lorne, Apollo Bay, Colac and Queenscliff. And the project in Queenscliff is a really good example of why members opposite have got this so wrong. This is not about replacing people in work. This is about creating new opportunities. In Queenscliff, there is a real problem with the foreshore. The local council could not get funding, so we have committed the money required to completely rejuvenate the foreshore and to build a boardwalk. In fact, it was such a problem that a local by the name of Alistair Lang, who runs the local IGA, started a petition and he raised 1,000 signatures in his supermarket. People were so upset about the state of the foreshore, and I really do commend the work of Alistair Lang and the many others who joined forces to say we want some action. And, Mr Deputy Speaker, we are delivering. I also want to commend the Borough of Queenscliff, who's worked so hard to pull together these plans to rejuvenate the foreshore, as well as the Bellarine Catchment Network and the Swan Bay Environment Network. Queenscliff is a wonderful historic town with so much to offer, and the rejuvenation of their foreshore will make an enormous difference. Also, Mr Deputy Speaker, in Lorne, there will be a major project at the Lorne-St George River tramway track to the west of Point Grey. Before reliable road transport emerged in the 1930s, there was an extensive tramway network which enabled heavy loads to be transported.
Order, it being 9 p.m.